All right, guys, looks like we are live. South Asian Man Evolution, episode number 11. If you can hear me, drop a 1 in the chat. If you can hear me, drop a 1 in the chat. I also dropped a pinned comment if you want to join the stream live and ask me any questions. Dating, self-improvement, men's lifestyle, any of that good stuff. So go ahead, type any questions you have in the chat or join the stream by clicking the pinned comment. So any questions on dating, self-improvement, men's lifestyle related topics, go ahead, drop your questions in the chat. And be sure to drop a 1 if you can hear me. Pretty sure you can, but you never know with the audio. Probably going to go on for about an hour, so see who we got, see any questions we got tonight. All right, we good. Any questions? Drop them in the chat. Or if you want to join the stream, click the pinned comment and talk to me directly. Questions, dating, self-improvement, men's lifestyle. Drop them in the chat or join the stream by clicking the pinned comment. How's everyone doing? See, we got a couple people watching. Got any questions? Drop them in the chat. All right, John Robinson, Alugu. We need more people like you in the YouTube space helping South Asian men. Hey, man, maybe eventually it'll rise up, but even if it does, just remember who the OG was. That's all I ask. Appreciate it, though. Drop your questions in the chat. All right, here we go. Which state in America is good for a brown guy in dating? Just curious. I live in Canada, by the way. Usually the states that have the bigger cities that are more diverse. So New York, California, Philadelphia with Philly right there. Even Texas, like a city like Austin. I think Austin is, or maybe it's Houston. One of those two are like top 5 biggest cities in the US. Even like Miami, Florida. I'd say those are some of the big ones, like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Miami, Austin or Houston. Just anytime you're in like a very big city, obviously there's more diversity for sure. One of those states, one of those cities, I'd recommend try and move there if you get the chance. But, you know, you're going to have more options the more attractive you make yourself. regardless, right? But yeah, I mean, it is easier when you're near a bigger city. There's no question about that for sure. Drop your questions in the chat. All right, here's a question for you guys that are watching. What types of videos would you like me to make going forward? What type of topics do you like learning about, getting info on? How do you deal with a disrespectful woman over text who shit test you or make excuses for being rude? Listen, women are gonna shit test you all the time, right? But don't don't be so sensitive. Don't get offended necessarily by it. But if she continues to be disrespectful, then as a man, why are you putting up with that? You know what I mean? You know, if she's giving you shit, telling you you're rude, insulting you, doing all that continuously, then you don't got to deal with that, man. At the end of the day, it's just a phone with like a text message. And that's also part of having, an abundance mindset, right? When you have that abundance in your dating life, you don't got to deal with all these women that are just crazy, making excuses, giving you a hard time, shit testing you, right? So, again, from time to time, yeah, there are going to be women who are more chill. Then there's going to be the women who shit test you a lot, right? But here's the thing, right? If has that genuine desire for you, she's like genuinely attracted to you, right? All the, her being bitchy with the attitude, all of that, it's going to go down the drain more and more, right? So you just need to become the guy that has a lot of abundance so you don't have, that scarcity, and you don't have to deal with these women that are, shit testing you, being rude over text. No one got time for that. Honestly, nowadays, it's come to the point for me where I don't even bother with, rude bitchiness, even shit tests. It's like, okay, if you're not trying to go out on a date with me, you're not making it easy, then I don't need you in my life. You know what I mean? So move on to the next one, honestly. Drop your questions in the chat. Any questions, drop them in the chat, or you can join the stream by clicking on the pinned comment. Hey, brother, got a question for you. Where are the good places to meet women without the dating apps? There's a lot of good places. Coffee shops, bookstores, the farmers market, joining these social club groups like run clubs. I think run clubs nowadays are probably like top 3 places where people are at least in the US, are getting into relationships, meeting women. So definitely check out a run club, even like a Pilates class, right? Even just like gym classes too, you know? So stuff like that definitely helps. But honestly, farmers markets are really good. Those daytime holistic environments, right? So really in the daytime, right? Don't do nightclubs. It's hard to hear women. It's a degenerate environment. People are bumping into each other, yelling at each other, right? Don't go nightlife route. Go daytime holistic environments. So coffee shops, bookstores, farmers markets, um, joining some of these daytime clubs, right? Like running clubs, book clubs, improv classes, right? Even like singles events in your city, meet and greet events in your city, right? Hopefully that helped. Give you a bunch of places to meet women. Parks too, right? Grocery stores. I could keep going on and on in this. I specialize also in helping guys with the day game, meeting girls during the day, those types of stuff in addition to dating apps rather than the night game stuff. So always got a ton of answers on that end for you guys on the daytime stuff for sure. Um, I'll be right back. Got to take care of something real quick. One second. My bad. My computer is giving me weird technical shit real quick. No, what the hell is going on? Hold on. Jesus Christ. All right. Let's see. Do you have any advice on how to fix a high-pitched feminine sounding voice? I sound like the gay bestie and want to change that. I would just check your testosterone level, honestly. That'd be first thing. First thing, check your testosterone level, see what's going on with that, right? See if you're in like the healthy range of testosterone. Um, I don't remember the exact ranges off the top of my head, but that would be the first thing. See if you might need some testosterone if it's really that bad, high pitched. Other than that, go on YouTube and look up voice deepening exercises. There's a ton of them. I would say that's probably 1 and 2 that I would do for sure. Voice deepening exercises on YouTube, practicing your speaking skills, right? Following the YouTube exercises and getting a testosterone check. See if you're in that healthy range. That's what I would do. Sorry, my camera is being fucking annoying. Hold on. 1 second. All right, that looks a lot better. All right, let's see. Real quick, if you want to join the stream, click the pinned link in the chat if you want to join the stream live and talk to me directly. I also just dropped a comment to join the stream directly if you want to talk to me directly, get some more advice directly. Could give you some advice on looks maxing too, stuff like that. I know all you guys like that kind of content, that kind of advice. So all right. What's up, bro? I am fairly attractive. Hold on. Why is my StreamYard doing that? All right, here we go. All right. Yo, what's up, bro? I'm fairly attractive, 6'3", and decently handsome. I have a good amount of success on Hinge, and I've been able to have attraction from women and plenty of hookups off dating apps, but I can't seem to get anything serious or love related, just sex/short-term relationships. I want a girlfriend and I want to love someone and be loved. Any advice? I'm 22 in college, by the way. So my first advice from a guy who's older and is like 30, right? I would just not get a girlfriend until I was at least have my life in check, right? Or jump into anything serious. You're so young. These are the years where you should just be focusing on building yourself. I'll continue doing the casual dating route up until at least like 26, 27, until you've really worked on the other aspects of your life, like your finances, right? That's going to be most important, especially the years between 18 to 25. You should be using that time to really build yourself as a guy. And on the side, yeah, casually date like you have, but don't bother getting into a relationship until you've, gotten to at least like say mid 20s. You have that experience, a lot of experience casual dating, right? Your finances, you've built on your finances because listen, you're in college, but I'll tell you, once you graduate, the dating game's completely different, right? You're not going to be going on all these bullshit college dates. You're going to be going on dates with actual women who are going to want to hang out with you, right? Especially if you're a handsome dude. You know, it's not cheap, right? I'm not going to lie to you, right? It takes up a lot of your money, a lot of your time, a lot of your resources. And honestly, at your age, you're so young, you shouldn't be wanting to get into a serious relationship. I wouldn't focus on that. I would focus on building yourself up as a man, continuing on improving yourself, fashion, fitness, finances, doing all of that. And then on the side, right, if you want to casually date, get that experience with women, absolutely you should do that. Casually date, cold approach, work on social skills, meet women, but that actual serious relationship, girlfriend, right? Don't even bother any of that until you're at least like mid to late 20s, you've really built yourself up. Casually date until you have that until you really stabilize, doing well, and then you can transition towards, settling down for something more serious. That's my advice. Um, but yeah, when you that yeah, I mean that's my advice for sure. See. All right, here's the link if you want to join the stream directly. Families are around, so can't join the stream. No worries. Appreciate it, bro. I worked on all those things. I'm in good shape. I've got a good career up ahead in the medical field. I want to actually find out how to get girls emotionally invested in me right now. It's just they are physically invested in me, but I struggle with the emotional side. I don't want to have casual sex anymore as I found God and I'm pursuing a different set of values and family. Props to you, man. No, that's good. You're not in that hookup degenerate phase of life, right? A lot of people, they get caught up in hookup culture. Um, a lot of people are out here, especially in this space, they brag about men in the space. They'd be bragging about, their lay counts and stuff like that. But that's good. You're not a degenerate and you found God. Props to you. Um, but yeah, I mean, to answer your question for serious relationships, right? There's if you found God, sounds like, you probably go to church or temple or whatever religion you are, right? Perhaps, get to know some of the girls there. Kind of like what I was saying earlier, on the stream, right? Meet girls in the daytime, holistic, healthy environments, right? Dating apps aren't the only way to meet girls, but at the same time, I'm also curious what you're putting on your dating apps too, right? Whether you're putting short-term or long-term relationship. I'm assuming you're putting long-term relationship, right? But this often goes kind of like, a lot of people overlook this, but even certain things that you put on your stats about you section on dating apps, right? Putting more holistic stuff like saying you don't drink, very physically active, little things like that can also really help, right? And definitely with your prompts too, catering your bio and your prompts towards that healthy, holistic lifestyle can help on dating apps. But I would just honestly meet women, during the day, right? Like I was saying earlier, join these healthier clubs, these healthier groups like book clubs, running clubs. And during the day, right? You could go to like farmers markets, coffee shops, bookstores, right? I'd say those are like some of the best places to meet women, right? Especially even like rec sports, co-ed intramural sports, right? I would stick to meeting women definitely in more of those healthier, holistic environments, and you'll find like eventually what you're looking for 100%. The only thing I really struggle with nowadays is the loneliness from being single. Everything else is good in my life. Yeah, that's the thing, man. You're so young. You're only 22 years old. You got so much of your life ahead of you, right? And you're kind of as you continue to grow and level up, only going to get better and better and better, right? You're so young, you have so much of your life ahead of you. Don't be like panicking that you're not in a relationship or panicking that you're lonely, right? As you said, you're getting those matches from Hinge, which is good, right? But I think you're at the point where you can really vet out who you're dating. If vet out who you're dating before you even go on dates, right? Really, meet girls during the daytime and based environments that I mentioned earlier. And that's the thing, right? that's part of when you become like more successful, you're leveling up in your 20s, right? You're going to be lonely. That's completely normal. Every successful person goes through that lonely chapter in his life, right? Especially those who are on self-improvement, leveling up in their 20s, right? So it's part of it, but keep leveling up, keep staying strong, keep casually dating, right? Not saying you got to bang and hook up with all these girls and be a degenerate or anything like that. But continue the path, man, that you're on. Those girls, as you get older, you become that guy, you become more mature, they'll come to you. Don't worry. I'm 22, but I've never had anything serious, and it kind of bothers me. That's probably why. I see other happy couples and feel sad that I don't have that. I feel like I lost the ability to love. Listen, man, like I'm saying, you're 22, you're so young. Stop judging, what you're seeing like around you with other couples. You don't know the backstory, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? You're so young. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you, as a guy who's like almost a decade older than you, now is not the time to be focusing on getting into a serious relationship. So that's my best advice. All right. You guys got any other questions? Dating, self-improvement, men's lifestyle, drop them in the chat. But I appreciate you coming on and asking me these questions, man. And it's good that you're finding success this early for sure. When I was your age, dude, like I sucked like in like all aspects. As a 22, I wasn't you were way farther than me at age 22, than like what I was at age 22, right? You were way farther than me than what I was back when I was 22. When I was 22, I was doing a lot of that degenerate stuff. I didn't have my life together. And if I could go back, like I was saying earlier, those years between 18 to 25, I'd really buckle down and focus on all these other areas of life. And in terms of casually dating, I'm not saying you got to necessarily sleep with every single girl, but just, hanging out with girls, socializing with girls, just in general. That's a lot. That goes a long way. You don't got to, sleep with every girl you meet. You don't got to get into a relationship with every single girl you meet, right? But hanging out with girls, learning more about female nature, getting used to talking to girls, being around girls, casually dating. Absolutely, you should be doing that during the ages of 18 to 25. But your main primary focus during that age range category 100% should be leveling up your life in those areas that I just discussed. So all right, I'm going to change my camera. I don't know what the hell is going on. It's like blurry on one, and then when I use the webcam, it like goes back to being like dark. See if I can fix this. Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. It's like the better camera is giving me darkness. All right, we'll rock with this for now. What's your favorite Desi swear word in Hindi or Bengali? I personally love has a nice tune to it. Um, I mean, I don't know how to answer that, man. I do catch myself saying Ben showed a lot. Ben showed start asking me some actual questions, not this shit. Thank you, bro. Truthia. I say that one sometimes too. Thank you, bro. I'll definitely use those tips. Oh, man, I try. Speaking from my own personal experience. Have you ever struggled with a corn addiction? If so, how did you break the cycle? No, I And a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but I've actually legit never at well, I've pretty much almost never watched that stuff in my entire life. Um, so I never, but with any habit, right? It's always like doing the things that'll break the habit, like using things like Blocker X and blocking extensions in your web browser. I've heard from other people that have had those bad habits; those help. Um, and honestly, filling up, and I say this all the time from a self improvement aspect, using Google Calendar and filling up your day, right? Every single time slot of your day with like productive shit just helps with like you constantly checking your calendar, filling it up with productive shit like every single time slot, every hour of each day. That just helps in general so you're not off being a degenerate, right? Every time you feel like being a degenerate and you're about to cave in, just open up your calendar and look at what you're supposed to be doing in that time block. And I guarantee you, when you become that busy guy, productive guy, you won't have time to be, wanking it, jerking off, let alone looking at corn on the internet, right? But I've never personally had this problem. I never watched that stuff. A lot of people, for whatever reason, and I get it a little bit because there are a lot of degenerates in the world, but when I tell people I've never had that issue, it's funny. They always look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm being honest, I've never had that issue. I may have watched it like twice in my entire life. The issue that I had when I was younger was the FAP and no FAP stuff, right? Fapping and just using the imagination, right? That was another bad habit that I had when I was younger. But whether it be, like the normal fapping to corn and watching corn and all these horrible addictions, right? Obviously, using the blocker extensions on your browser, right? Blocking things, getting off social media, especially like scrolling TikTok and Instagram, right? Deleting those apps on your phone so you're not always checking them. So, it decreases that temptation when you see like a hot girl on your feed, right? And in addition, like I was saying earlier, filling up your Google Calendar with just productive shit from like every single time slot, right? From hour, day by day, right? So every time you have like that urge to be a degenerate, open up your calendar and look at what you should be doing for that time slot, right? So utilizing Google Calendar, being more productive, filling out your calendar each time slot with productive stuff, right? The night before each day, that definitely helps, because when you're a busy guy, and I'll be honest, I'm a super busy guy, right? I wake up pretty early most of the time, right? Around 6 a.m. ish these days, right? I don't have time to go wank it and do all this degenerate stuff. I got shit to do. So the more shit you have to do, the more stuff you fill your calendar with, the more productive you are. I promise you, these habits will go away. That's what did it for me, right? Becoming that guy that when you try to become that high value guy and level up in your life and just be productive, you don't got time to even think about this type of shit, So that's my best advice. Also, I struggle with the approach aspect. I see that girls that I know I would definitely pull if we were on dating apps. But when it's in person, I'm just a pussy and don't do anything with them. Advice? So you probably still just have approach anxiety, man. And honestly, if I were you, I have a lot of exercises on cold approach anxiety, what to say to girls in my South Asian Warriors school, my school community. So, bro, if I were you, just join the school community. The link is in the description, right? I have exercises on approach anxiety, cold approach, exactly what to say, right? I would take a look at that. But for the purposes of this stream, yeah, don't be pedestalizing women thinking that they're these scary creatures, right? You saying hi to a woman, she's not going to turn into like a monster and gobble you up. You know what I mean? Is just a girl, and you have to approach it with that mindset, right? What's the worst that could happen when you just go up and say hello? She rejects you. she walks away, she ignores you, she says she has a boyfriend, or she says she's simply just not interested, right? Is that really that bad? Life goes on. We're all going to die one day. Who cares if she rejects you, right? It doesn't matter. You're never going to see that girl ever again, most likely, right? So think about it with that mindset. At the end of the day, just literally going up and introducing yourself, saying hi, right? Giving her a compliment, asking her how your days go, asking her how her day is going. Even that, doing slow exercises like that really help and go a long way towards overcoming that approach anxiety 100%. Solid stream so far with lots of questions. Do you notice a difference dealing with brown girls versus white girls? Yeah, brown girls are more you can relate to more just because of the cultural similarities, right? Makes it a little bit easier to connect and relate to for sure. Brown girls are more reserved most of the time, right? Whereas Americanized white girls, they tend to be a little bit more outgoing. They love to, do more like thriller type of stuff like skiing, snowboarding, right? Brown girls are more into like, let's go out to eat, let's go to a restaurant, let's cook, right? White girls are more of the more adventurous archetype, definitely way more of the more outdoorsy archetype. Brown girls are more culturally kind of, homebodies for the most part, right? There's just some differences I've noticed. Brown girls I find a little bit easier to relate to, but in terms of the girls that I find more, I guess, fun to be with, fun to be around, I honestly, white girls, when it comes to the thrill, more fun to be around, right? Definitely white girls lean more towards that. Brown girls more on the chiller side in terms of, the activities. But at the end of the day, in terms of drama, right? I mean, listen, female nature's female nature, right? Every girl, regardless of their race, is going to have drama. Asian girls, I've never really dated Asian girls. Latinas, honestly, in a way, Latinas can kind of be similar to brown girls, tend to be more of that culturally feminine type of vibe, right? Um, yeah, I'd say Latinas more in tune with their culture, just like brown women. Whereas white women, they're kind of just like more, I guess, outdoorsy, outgoing, down to do more spontaneous stuff. Those are some differences that I've noticed. All right, guys, if you got any other questions, dating, lifestyle, self improvement, drop them in the chat. Good stream. Here's the link to join. Want to talk to me directly? I'm 6'3", 191 pounds right now. What is better for attracting women? Being big and bulky as fuck, or being lean and facially attractive but looking smaller in clothes? All right. Well, you're 6'3". that's tall as fuck. 190 pounds. I think you're at a pretty solid weight. It's always better to be lean, man. The reason I do so well is as I have a very leanish muscular physique. Lean muscular, facially attractive, 100%. But even if you're like lean muscular, you're probably going to look solid in fitted clothing, right? Wear more fitted clothing. Don't wear too baggy-ish clothing. It's going to make you look more smaller. I think you could put on a little bit more muscle though for now. I mean, I think if you could get shot up to like 205 at 6'3", yeah, I'd say like 205 at most, not above 210. But I'd say 205, man. Put on a little bit more muscle and then just maintain that and stay lean muscular. You'll be crushing it. That's my advice. I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm not 6'3", so I can't really trying to think about the height of someone who's 6'3", right? I'm only 6 foot. With boots, maybe 6'1", but 6'3", I mean, yeah, I'm about like 175 pounds, lean muscular at 6. So yeah, I think being lean is a lot better than being big and bulky. That's always my best advice. You're not going to be small, man. I mean, here's the thing, right? When you're 6'3", you're always going to look and you're like lean 6'3", you're always going to look a little bit lanky, right? So that's kind of the issue too when you're like a super tall dude, right? The taller you are, you get a little bit more and more lean looking to the point where you actually look like you're legit like kind of skinny, right? So that's kind of the downfall. And a lot of people don't really talk about this a lot in this space, which is interesting. They always say that being 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" is like an absolute hack, but sometimes, it's better not to be that tall. It's better to stay around this, like, even if it's better to not be that tall sometimes, because of the whole muscle and height balance versus imbalance too. But yeah, if I was you, I would honestly put on some more muscle, get to like 200-ish, and then just like maintain that. I think 6'3" at 200 pounds, you're going to be looking pretty sharp lean wise. But then again, I can't really say, I haven't seen you on the stream, right? If I could actually visually see how you look like, I could give you some advice, So yeah, if I could see you, I could give you a better result too. Cause then there's the whole thing on like body. I could give you better advice too. Cause there's a whole thing on like body fat percentage as well, right? It's hard to say when I'm just given two numbers unless I'm like visually looking at you. Then I could be like, okay, maintain or cut. You know what I mean? This is what you should be, eating, calorie surplus, maintenance, deficit, right? So that's what makes it a little bit harder for sure. Yeah, I used to be 205 pounds at 2 months ago, and I've cut down a bit. You can start to see 24/7 bicep veins right now. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like I said, I'm not I never tell guys to bulk. Even the guys that are like more ectomorph, skinnier guys, I tell them that eat at your maintenance level of calories and just get as much protein in as you can, and do lift heavier, progressive overload. Your body naturally is going to fill itself out. It's going to get bigger. You're going to get stronger. That's how muscle building works, right? You don't need to necessarily be stuffing yourself doing these crazy like bulking things, right? At the end of the day, if your main goal is aesthetics, you shouldn't be bulking, let alone dirty bulking, right? If you're trying to, fill out your frame, it's always better to just stay at maintenance, get as much protein in as possible, right? And then just lift heavier over time. Your body's just naturally going to put on more muscle, progressive overload. Next stream I'll come on. My family is around right now. No worries, bro. All right. You guys got any other questions? Dating, self-improvement, men's lifestyle? Let me know. Drop them in the chat. All right, here we go. Now we got the other camera back, ready to rock and roll. It's weird because when I do these streams, like before it gets dark, when I'm using my HD webcam, the quality looks like crap and it's super dark, right? But when it actually gets dark outside and I use the HD webcam, everything's so much more clear, you know? So that's what makes it interesting for sure. All right, questions, dating, men's lifestyle, self-improvement. Oh, by the way, for those of you guys in the US, happy 4th of July. Got a long weekend coming up. Hopefully you guys will use it for good, not evil. Be productive. Don't be doing dumb, degenerate shit this weekend. That's all my advice is. How do I take good photos for social media without it looking forced or cringed? Yeah, so you obviously more candid. Again, I could go on this. Explain all of this, man, in my South Asian Warriors school community. So I highly suggest you join the school community. I have an entire, module on photos and online presentation in the dating app module. But honestly, to answer your question, it's really just grab a buddy with an iPhone, right? On your iPhone, to prevent lens distortion, take the raw normal photos, zoom into like 1.5x, I'd say, around there. And then, it's better to like just have them take photos while you're like kind of like walking around, right? So what I like to do is when I'm like kind of posing for a photo, but not making it look like too forced or cringe. And here's the thing, right? For any photo shoot, it's going to look a little bit posed. Like it's stupid for you to think it's never going to be posed, right? Because that's what it is. Every photo is at least a little bit posed to a certain degree, unless it's a completely like candid shot of you where you don't know that there's like a camera there, right? But if you psychologically know that there's a camera there, it's going to be like a little bit posed, right? But what I would do is, if you have like a watch, right? Play with the watch. And as you're playing around with the watch, maybe adjusting the watch, right? Maybe even just like when you're like have a jacket on top, like unzipping the jacket while in the process of unzipping the jacket, right? And you're like kind of leaning against a wall, have your buddy start taking the pictures while you're like, say, adjusting a watch and like looking around like this, right? See how I'm like kind of looking around? Have your buddy just start taking the pictures while you're like adjusting the watch, doing the activities. While if you're doing like a walking shot, be slowly walking, tilting your head to the side, looking off in the distance. As you're like walking, have your buddy start taking the shots, right? That is how you get, the poses to look like the photos to look like not so posed, right? It's a lot harder to just stand still and then just look directly off in the distance or at the camera. The hack to doing all this is you want to be slowly moving while your buddy is taking the shots, right? Slowly turning your head while he's taking the shots, looking at something in the distance, slowly unbuttoning, say, like your shirt. If you're taking like a sex appeal picture, during the process of you unbuttoning, your buddy should be taking the shots of you, right? While you're walking, you're not gonna just stand still at a pose. You're gonna be slowly walking towards somewhere, looking around, and during that process, your buddy should be taking the shots of you on the iPhone, right? So that's what I mean when, basically that's how you do it when you want to take them more candid, right? Enough with, standing still and posing, right? You really, while you're doing the activity, while you're, adjusting a watch or unbuttoning your buttons or unzipping a jacket or slowly walking, that's when your buddy should be taking the photos. That's how you get those shots that are like look more candid. I hope that makes sense. What if you are alone and don't have a buddy, but you have a tripod? Yeah, so honestly, I recommend first preference, always have somebody with you. I mean, I know that's probably not the answer you want to hear, but it's just always going to turn out a little bit better if you have a buddy taking your photos. That's probably your best suggestion, man, if I'm being completely honest. If you do have a tripod, go onto Amazon, go see if you can find like a little clicker or even just buy a new tripod. Like they have tripods on Amazon that have like clickers that you can connect to, right? So like it comes with like a clicker on like and an app on your phone. So you literally can take the clicker, put it in like your pocket, and while you're walking, you're just clicking the clicker and your phone starts like taking photos of you. I can't describe it very well, but go on Amazon, find like tripod auto photo clicker or something like that. They have them. Let me see if I could actually pull it up for you so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. Hold on one second. It's called like an auto clicker. So let's see. Present, share screen. Yeah, so this is what I'm basically talking about. It's this auto clicker thing. It's called a tripod selfie stick. You can get them on Amazon. Um, Literally like 18 bucks and come with this like auto clicker. You just put your phone right there. It's a 71-inch like phone tripod selfie stick, right? So have this like clicker in your pocket and start clicking like while you're walking slowly and your phone's going to start taking the shots. Something like that is what I recommend. If you absolutely, have to get if you don't have like a buddy to help you out. So, yeah, let's see. Stop sharing. Hopefully you saw that. When I'm alone and I'll record a video on a tripod, and then when I'm scrolling through the video and I'll find free frames and screenshot them if I think it's a good frame for a photo. No. Well, yeah, I mean that is one way you could do it, but like I said, man, the easiest thing honestly is just find a buddy to help you take shots, bro. It's gonna be a lot more simpler for sure. I'm using the advice that I just gave you. I have an Apple Watch and I can use the watch as a clicker. Yeah, yeah, that could work too. Use the watch as the clicker, put the watch in your pocket and start clicking away like while you're walking slowly. That definitely could help for sure. There's a lot of ways to do it, but like I said, the best way to do it is, in my opinion, is just get a buddy, have him take photos of you in those more like candid type of shots that I explained, right? While you're slowly, doing the activity, unbuttoning your collar or slowly zipping down like the zipper, right? Or adjusting, playing around with your watch, slowly walking, looking around like to the side in the distance, right? Having your buddy take photos of you while you're slowly doing those types of actions is what's going to get the more candid, natural looking shots. And I have so many examples of that on my Instagram if you want to check it out, and they turn out pretty good. What activities would you recommend we do in the photos? What locations? I mean, that's up to you, man. Whatever you want your archetype on Instagram to be, right? I mean, what do you like to do, you know? It's all up to you. What activities do you like, right? But definitely you should have some full body shots. In terms of locations, I mean, really anywhere with like a rooftop, anywhere, you know, where there's like a lakeside, even like chilling by the pool, anywhere where there's a good landscape, sitting down at like a nice coffee shop, a nice restaurant, a nice bar, right? Things, if you're for dating apps, I mean, you say you get matches on dating apps, but I'm really just like things that appeal to that female gaze, if that's what you're going for, right? If you're trying to really, you know, get more attraction from women, it's going to be photos, activities that appeal towards female interests, right? Like maybe even you like cooking and somebody takes a shot of you cooking something, right? Like while you're pouring the food down like on your plate, right? Or, you know, even you just chilling like by the pool or by like a lakeside, or you on a rooftop, or you at a coffee shop with like a drink in your hand, right? So these types of things I would suggest for your photos that cater towards more of the female gaze. But if you don't really care about dating and that stuff, then, you know, just photos of what you're into. What's your archetype? What do you like to do, right? What's your IG? I'll drop it in the chat. Yeah, so I can give you some example. I can share my. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna share my Instagram real quick. Okay, so you probably see my screen right now. Yeah, so this is my Instagram. But you guys see what I mean, right? These are kind of like the types of photos that I have, right? You see how I'm like doing stuff on my profile? Like I'm legit playing with my phone, just chilling, right? This photo actually gets me a ton of likes on dating apps right here. It's nothing that complicated, and it was taken with, you know, an iPhone, right? Here's like a good picture. My buddy took this one of me like while I was walking up the steps, right? So it looks very, you know, natural, candid. Here's a picture of me like by the poolside, just chilling, right? I think these are some good examples. It's always good to have a couple activity-based photos too. Like here's me of one on an ATV. Here's a great example of what I was talking about with like you with like a drink in your hand, right? You know, and again, this was taken while I was about to like drink the Diet Coke, right? He actually snapped this right before I was about to drink and point the drink like to my mouth, right? I wasn't actually posing like this. I was in the process legit of like raising my hand with the glass like and to my mouth, you know? So you don't want to be standing still and like freezing in the frame. You want your buddy to be taking the photos while you're slowly doing the activity, the course of action. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, here's another great example, me playing with my watch on like a rooftop, right? Yeah, here's me again playing with my watch. Here's a cool photo of me by the lakeside. right? But these are basically what makes up a pretty aesthetic Instagram profile, right? Physique shots are always good for the female gaze if you're in shape. So, yeah, guys, this is what a baller Instagram really looks like. So, I hope this helped. Appreciate it, man. Nice to meet you, bro. Thanks for tuning in. All right. I'm going to go for another like 10 minutes or so. Get some more water. Be right back. Drop your questions in the chat if you have any. For the helper, I'm going to go hit bat and biceps now. Let's get it, bro. Let's get ripped. Drop your questions in the chat if you have any. Otherwise, we're going to end this stream maybe another 10, 15 minutes from now. Good to get that engagement. Yeah, let's give it 10 more minutes and we'll call it a day. Call it a night. Is it normal to be hairy as a South Asian guy? I don't mean to be weird. I mean, that's pretty normal, bro. Indians are probably some of the most hairiest people. That's why it's so important to have your grooming on point, especially as an Indian guy, to break those negative stereotypes. But yeah, wax, trim. Don't be walking around with your shirt off if you're all hairy, you know? I mean, that's common sense, but yeah, your grooming got to be on point, especially if you're a brown guy for sure. All right, if anybody else has questions, dating, self-improvement, men's lifestyle, drop them in the chat. Yes, bro. Get that shit waxed, get it trimmed, get it shaved. Now, okay, so some parts where it's like normal to have hair, right? Like your legs, even like a little bit on your arms, right? I mean, that's normal, but like upper chest, right? Your abs and like shoulders, you gotta shave that shit for sure. And especially your, you know what, your junk area, absolutely get that thing completely shaven. Trim that stuff. Get it off you, bro. No girl wants to see that disgusting bush around, you know what. So yeah, wax, shave all of it. But you know, especially, you know, especially like armpits, right? Chest hair, right? Abs, stomach, get rid of all of that. Definitely 100% the stuff around your junk too. But when it comes to like the forearms and like your legs, I mean, those are like everybody has a decent. Most men have a lot of hair in that area. I mean, you don't got to go crazy with like the forearms and the legs. I mean, that's normal, but pretty much everywhere else on your body, yeah, get that shit shaved. Yeah, pretty much. What's up, man? How you been? Been well, bro. How have you been? Just been taking it easy. Well, not taking it easy. I'm always working, but can't complain. I guess that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, can't complain. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. Hopefully, you guys have a good weekend ahead. You're productive, not out there causing trouble, working on your purpose, improving one step at a time. How are doing the Lord's work, saving one brown boy at a time? Someone has to, man. Somebody has to. Yeah, you guys are going to see a huge change coming up in my content. I've already been changing it up. I'm doing more like educational videos on Loom, doing PowerPoints. I'm about to do something else coming up too. So, yeah, it's going to be legit. It's going to start, my content is going to start feeling like I'm actually like a teacher, like teaching you guys stuff, not just like spamming you with like dopamine content like a lot of these guys do with like shorts and reels, right? There's a reason why I only do long form content, because I want to be more of like that content creator that just spits like just educating you, right? Not just hitting you with dopamine, but actually educating you guys, helping you. So I've never really been overweight. I've never been fat, but I was always very skinny growing up, right? I was always an ectomorph. So I was never like obese or anything like that. You know what I mean? I was never obese. I was never skinny fat, but I was always very skinny growing up. Um, for me, it was trying to build muscle. I was an ectomorph. Um, but really, the past like 5 years, just really getting the diet in tune, getting the diet in check, hitting my calories, the macros, and implementing progressive overload at the gym, right? Really, this past 5 years, I've seen so much better results at the gym. But I was never, overweight, or I was never obese. I was never skinny fat. For me, it was actually the opposite. I was too skinny, right? At least I thought I was too skinny. So that's why I started going harder in the gym and putting on as much muscle as I could, naturally, of course. On dating apps, how do you respond when girls say you're too old or give age objections? Well, I don't really match with girls that ever give me any objections like you're too old, because if I matched with the girl, right? Why would she say you're too old? Because then it's like, why would you match with me in the first place if you're gonna just tell me you're too old? You know what I mean? Unless the girls, and hey, I mean, if girls are just swiping and matching with me due to their ego, I mean, that could be a thing. But nah, normally when a girl matches with me, right, they usually it usually makes way for a solid conversation that leads to some type of date. Um, yeah, I never had a match legit be like, yo, you're too old. Cause then it's kind of like, why the hell did you match with me in the first place? You know what I mean? So But something I found on dating apps is even if you like adjust the age range and make it broader, say from like, I don't know, 21 to like 35, right? Even then, at least for Hinge, it'll show you girls that are more closer to your age, even when you make it broader. So usually regardless, I don't really match and then I don't have girls matching with me and then saying like, you're too old because, they match with me for a reason, right? They match with me because they want to go on that date with me, if that makes sense. Usually, yeah, I mean, usually to further elaborate on this, yeah, honestly, I can't think of a situation where you would match with a girl and then she's like, "You're too old," because that just doesn't make sense, right? Like, why the hell would she match with you and then be like, "You're too old," you know? If she doesn't think you're it, then she would swipe left, right? At least that's what I would think, right? Every single girl that I've matched with has that initial interest. She's never said anything like, "Oh, you're too old," you know? People that watch long form content are the best type of people, low key. 100%. Yeah. Um, it's just a different type of viewers, the people that actually want to learn. There's a reason why I don't have TikTok, and there's a reason why I don't even post that much on like the Instagram, the South Asian Fit Instagram. I don't even post that many short form content on there. Um, Eventually, I'm building it up very slowly, but my primary focus has always been long form content, long form videos, because that's just the videos I like to do. And I mean, you guys know this, I ramble a lot and talk a lot in my videos, right? Which is something I could definitely work on. So long form for me is just perform better, work better. I can get all my thoughts across when it comes to long form content. Short form content also attracts more of the buddies and not the actual like people who want to learn. It attracts a lot of the dopamine addicts and not the people that are actually there to learn and actually utilize the information you're giving. What type of content do you plan on doing in the future? Elaborate a little on the educational content if possible. It's the same type of content: dating, men's lifestyle, sexual market value, attraction, raising your SMV as a South Asian man, making you more attractive, improving your dating life as a South Asian guy. It's the same niche. The niche is not going to change. It's always going to be that same niche, but the style is going to be a little bit different, right? So if you've seen my videos up until this point, majority of them are just me pressing record and then just giving a speech and like just raw talks. Over the past month or so, I've changed the content style to where I'm just doing PowerPoint presentations, but you can still see me. I'm doing like a Loom presentation. You can see my face and me talking, but I'm showing you like more graphics, more visuals on a PowerPoint, more lecture style videos. That's one type of content that I'm going to continue to do. The second type of content is going to be a surprise. Well, I don't even know if it's more of a surprise. It's still going to be a lecture style, but it's going to be a different type of lecture. It's not going to be me just hitting record and speaking raw talk on camera, right? It's not going to be just, Loom presentations, and I'll still have both those types of content for sure. But this third style that I'm going to implement is going to be something a little bit new, but I hope you guys like it all. You'll see soon. You'll see next week. It's going to be interesting. I've never done this style of video before, but there's other people on YouTube that do it. It's like in any niche, especially the dating niche. There's other YouTubers that do this type of style of content, this type of format of content that I'm about to introduce, right? So when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This new way I'm going to present information. I think that's a better way to word it, but it's still always going to be that dating niche. Probably a shit test, but I got it quite a bit. I like the SMV dating content right now and also the tier list, but will support all your endeavors. Yeah, that's not going away, man. Don't worry. It's always going to be dating related content. That's the niche of this channel, right? I'm not going to just switch it up on you and start posting some other stuff, you know? Don't worry. It's always going to be dating related content, but tier lists, yeah. I'm going to start doing more of those for sure. But this new style, the niche is going to be the same, but the way I'm presenting the information is going to be a little bit different than what I have been doing, a little bit different than just the raw talk on camera. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but you'll see exactly what I'm talking about probably at some point next week. So yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be epic. All right. If you guys got any last second questions, now's your chance. Otherwise, I got to run. I got to do some stuff. Yeah, so. All right. I'll give it 5 minutes. Then I'm out. Any last questions in these last 5 minutes? And I'm out of here. But it was a good stream. Glad to talk to you guys that came on. Did you ever have a hoe face? It's feel like it's normal to have those as a young man. Yeah, I mean, throughout my mid 20s, that's when I was in that playboy lifestyle. Even like early 20s, college, right? Just chasing girls all the time, right? Really like my mid 20s, that when I started, that's when I started seeing some results, right? Where it was like I was hitting the gym, getting onto self-improvement, but that phase of my life was tough because it was almost as if I was going through like two different sides, right? Like the party side of me was still there, but then I like caught on to self-improvement. And then it was like when I turned 27, I started seeing some results from the gym, more attraction from women, right? So then it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe I can have some fun for a little bit, right? But by the time, I got older, 28, 29, right? Pretty much grew out of that like hookup culture, degenerate lifestyle, right? Nowadays, when I'm dating, it's more so like dating with purpose, right? Really filtering out, only dating higher quality women who have that more healthy, holistic vibe, right? Similar activities, similar interests, right? Fit, good morals, good values, right? It's no longer, the playboy lifestyle that I tried to get when I was in like my mid 20s, So, yeah, it's normal for a lot of guys to have that as a young man for sure. But trust me, as you get older, you're going to grow out of it. You're going to get tired, right? You're going to just want to kind of like, find a girl that more so just aligns to your values in terms of like leveling up, self improvement, right? So that's why I always say, it's always better to start that self improvement journey earlier rather than later, right? Honestly, from 18 to 25, right? You can definitely see some huge strides, So then by the time you're 25, you'll really have your pick of the litter when it comes to women for sure. Since you're in a relationship, what's your advice to keep the spark alive and not get into that roommate phase? So yeah, I'm actually not in a relationship as of a week and a half ago. I don't want to talk bad necessarily about this person, but let's just say our values on certain things didn't align necessarily. It's kind of unfortunate, but hey, I mean that's life, right? It goes on. You're not gonna, you know, make it through to the end with every girl. But yeah, in the past and the relationships I've been in, even the one that I just got out of, right? In terms of keeping the spark alive, it's really just, finding like things that you guys both like to do, topping into those things, deep diving into those things, right? A lot of people don't talk about this, but the commonalities, similar interests, those are things that you can really dwell on, talk about, do, deep dive in, right? So there was a girl that I dated in the past. She really liked going to art museums, right? And I actually like going to art museums too. Or art galleries. I live in around the DC area. There's a lot of them. So I'm really into like exploring and doing that type of stuff. But we would always we both had that like fascination, right? Of just looking at like other people's work, art, portraits, so on and so forth. So we would always just be going to museums, art museums, right? We both had a very healthy, holistic lifestyle. I've always been into fitness, or I've really gotten into fitness these past like 5-6 years, right? So the girls that are really into that healthy food, healthy lifestyle, early morning, self-improvement, meditation, journaling, going to the gym, talking about like our workouts, right? When you have that things that you're super interested in and you find girls that are super interested in those things, right? That you're also interested in, you don't got to overthink it. The spark just happens right then and there. And this is something that's kind of difficult to describe in terms of that spark, but if you guys really, align on a lot of values, you have a lot of the similar interests, the spark is just never going to die, So I hope that made sense. I hope that helped. I know I'm going rambling on and on, about to log out of here in a minute, but all that being said, appreciate everyone who's come on tonight, who's asked me questions. It's a pretty solid stream. Be sure to like the stream, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to join a great school community of men trying to improve their dating life, top link in the description is my South Asian Warriors School, helping single South Asian men level up their dating life. So click the link in the description, join the school community, South Asian Warriors, like and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. And if there's no other last minute questions, I'll catch you in the next video or the next stream. Talk to you soon. Peace.